who is the Business Line Manager General Industry, Robotics and Discrete Automation at ABB India Limited. He is a robotic automation professional and currently heads a team of automation professionals delivering the best-in-class experience to the customers while working with ABB Robotics. Working with ABB for around a decade, Mr. John has expertise in global and local roles across functions such as profit and loss, marketing, strategy, pricing, channel management, and business development. Coming from an engineering background, he has undergone various leadership training. Today, Mr. John will give us a brief view of robot automation for machine tool tending. So, delegates, let's welcome Mr. John.
ABB Robotics, we have been a pioneer in the field of industrial robots for quite a long time. So we started our operations in India almost for 25 years. So we are a team of close to 300 people in India, working with major industrial customers, providing automation solutions for using our robots. So it has been an exciting journey, and in fact, we very jokingly say that the last 3 or 4 years have been the most exciting one, because we could very clearly see there is a huge trend in terms of adoption of robotics, and I can very clearly see that our customers are seeing the benefits of automation, and I'm very sure this trend is there to stay. Yeah, so we believe that more and more the industry will adopt to technologies such as robotics, IoT, which you briefly touched upon. So there is a lot of scope for us as an industry to take on this value chain of automation and digitalization even seriously, and which will automatically help us, all of us, to be very much competitive in this global manufacturing. So with that brief, I would little bit go into the topic of today's presentation. So today I would little bit like to talk about how the machine tool industry is and how the robots play a crucial factor in terms of enhancing the competitiveness of the industry. Yeah. So as Rajeshwari, to begin with, you said very astonishing figures of the growth projections of machine tool industry, right? So for us to have such a growth momentum, it has to be obviously supported by the ecosystem, including automation and the digital technology. So my point of presentation today would be to little bit talk about the trends, the pain points of the machine tool manufacturers and the end users of it, and how robotics to an extent can help them optimize the operations and also build competency, which will enable India as a manufacturing country to compete with some of the other established manufacturing players. Yeah. So with that, I will move into my presentation. So I would like to talk more about the machine tools space. Of course, we can a little bit touch on the heavy engineering space a little later. To keep it within the machine tool space, where you automatically see robots being used, is how we feed the machine, right? It could be the CNCs, it could be the lathes, for which the robots are being used to feed the parts and also to extract the parts once the jobs are finished. This has evolved as a very interesting area for robotics, because the kind of advancements that we have seen in the last 4 decades is something that is worth noting. Yeah, if you begin with in 1990s, the automation wasn't really there. It was more of manual intervention that was happening with the machines. But in a span of next 10 years, even in India and also in global arena, the concept of high volume production came into place. So the industries opened up, economies opened up. Even India, we opened up to the global economy. So which means that investments came in. So the growth prospects really started to open up, which means the opportunities came in, and we started really shifting the gears, and we went into high volume production. And obviously, robots started playing a role there. For us to meet the capacity and the targets that we set ourselves for production, robots really played a role there. Yeah, that is something I would say was an inflection point for robotics to come into the industry. And if you look at next 10 years, the role of robots started to even get better. And what we could see is that the customers now started thinking of standardization. They wanted a solution that is standard, which is easy to maintain. It has to come with certain features so that the commissioning time of the system shouldn't take much time. So the needs of the industry were starting to evolve in the next 10 years. However, now we have a situation which is very interesting, because we will a little bit discuss why why this decade of where we are would be much more interesting. So that we'll little bit talk when we come to the next few slides, where we see what is the trend that is driving it. Yeah. Now, looking at the trends, obviously any reason that you would like to have automation is to avoid manual intervention in processes that we call as mission critical. The ingenuity of humans is not something that will go away, but we still need our resources, human resources, to be involved in meaningful jobs. Which means machines can take some of the work that we are doing. However, the ingenuity which I mentioned of human labor continues to be there. Unfortunately, we are all in the engineering area. We are all proud engineers, and we understand the need for a skilled, a blue collar worker or even a white collar worker. Unfortunately, the operators that we today, or even the industry that is looking at, is more of a migratory workforce rather than a workforce that we all would like to invest in, build in. That is something that is little missing. So we still have the tendency to invest in people and upskill them for the new age jobs is still a gap I am personally seeing. Yeah, because of which we do not find many operators that we think we should have. We do not have. Because of which the production lines are going into the islands of automation. Yeah, there is no continuous automation of the line, which means that you need more people. So we are always looking at islands of automation rather than complete automation. Yeah, and if you are also a little bit forced with lack of skilled operators, you are looking at only few operators of a machine tending cell rather than employing more workforce. And for non-value add jobs such as handling of materials, I can also see a trend where the automatic guided vehicles are starting to come into our shop. Though we can always say it is a trend that we see in the Western European countries, but for the last 2 or 3 years, I have visited our shop floors of many of our customers, and I could see that the autonomous vehicles or automatic guided vehicles are coming into our shop. So that is a trend that I also would attribute in our machine tool industry. Now, when I said in my previous slide that what is really going to impact this decade of the machine tool industry is the trend where we are talking about a high mix of products at low volume. The batch sizes of the products that we are manufacturing today are relatively coming less. Yeah. The jobs that we used to do for 4,000, 5,000 pieces, are not there anymore. Or because of the diversification strategy of our customers, we could very clearly see that the batch sizes are lesser, and which also gives a lot of business potential across different end user industries for machine tool. The end users of machine tool, which means the system that you design has to be much more flexible. So standardization was driven in the last decade, but now you are also talking about more flexibility, because you need to have different variants of products that to be manufactured in same set of machines. Yeah. So that's why I believe the robots are machines that have high degree of flexibility will have a very good role too. And then also I would little bit like to talk about two technological aspects, which I little bit now starting to see in machine tool industry, which is the bin picking. Yeah, bin picking is a technological solution that is being asked by many of our customers, because you don't have to have it allows the flexibility in terms of the material that comes in random orientation, but you bring in the technology to to arrange it in a certain way, so that it can be fed into the machine, and then it can be taken in the machine from the output of the machine also, and properly stacked. Yeah. So the bin picking solution is something that I can very clearly see is an area which needs a little bit of technical advancement, and also that is where companies like us we come, because we have invested many of our resources, technical resources. Our R&D programs are focused towards developing this solution, which we believe will be needed by the machine tool industry. And I briefly touched upon the AGVs acting as the material carriers between different islands of automation, so that you don't rely more on the human operators to transport material between different production stages. So our investments as an organization is also driven towards these technological advancements, which we believe. And now talking about where we asked close to 1,600 companies across different industry verticals, asking why do you believe that the robot automation is very important to the business. So the first 3 points, as you can very clearly see from the chart, Our customers believe that the automation in general can result in reduction of operating cost over a period of time. So many of, and I would believe that is very much true for an industry like machine tools, because the utilization of machine is always a factor that needs to be taken. The investment that you make in a machine, has to, the ROI comes from how much it's being used. And here I believe that robots have an opportunity to increase the output of the machine, which otherwise would not have been possible by manual intervention. And product quality, as you know, the consistency at which a product output is coming is much better through automation compared to the manual. And finally, if I stick to the first three factors, I also believe that increased production output. So imagine this situation, on the first hand, on the left hand side, you are reducing the cost of your production while you are increasing the production as well, which means it's a multiplier effect. So that is where I think companies who are investing in robotics see the value. When we speak to machine tool suppliers and also the end users of machine tools, we can very clearly see the automation, if done right, has a multiplier effect in both their bottom line and also on the top. So this is something that is very interesting. And now coming into the details as to what we want to target, or what are the pain points that we really want to address by going for robotic automation. As I briefly touched upon today, the utilization of the machines is relatively low. We have estimated that the average machine tool utilization is roughly 1,500 hours per year, which is per machine, which is very low. And there are many factors why it is so low, but we believe that robots is an area that our any customer who is facing a challenge with that can think of, so that the output of the machine can actually be increased. And I also a little bit touched upon the variations that we see in today's world. The customers need to make different variations, not just in terms of the geometry, but also in terms of the sizes and also the materials that are being handled. Which means if you are going for automation, it cannot be rigid. It has to be flexible. It has to be suited for different components. The provisions for changing a model has to be inbuilt in the system. That is how a flexibility can be ensured when you're automating a machine tool within a robot. So these are the points that we spoke about, the lack of labor that we see. But the other benefits that we want to really address is by having an automation, very well designed automation would give you benefits in terms of optimized floor utilization, so that you don't have to invest on the real estate per se, and quality obviously is a consequence of automation. So this is our value that we add to the machine tool industry. Now, very quickly, we don't have to go in detail, but we also understand as a OEM, as a robot manufacturer, how do we enable this for machine tool manufacturing? Today, we can very clearly see the industry. If you look at the segmentation of an industry, we have, I would say, the small and medium enterprises constitute for quite a chunk of the machine tool space, right? So there is always a challenge when it comes to how much investments can be made, and whatever investments that are being made, the return on investment is not so long, right? So it has to be quicker, so that the companies can keep up their cash flow and invest more into their core business of manufacturing certain jobs for their end customer. So we believe that standardized automation need not be so expensive. It can, if it can be done at a price that is competitive, which also brings in other benefits such as the flexibility. And it's a plug and play system, because the standardization that we spoke about the last 10 years has really given us a platform where we can add more, bring in more modularity while building an automation solution, so that it doesn't have to be too expensive. It can be just designed for what the purpose is, and it can be kept fit for purpose. You don't have to over-engineer. So now, now we are talking about automation, but I also have to point out few things that has to be taken into consideration when automation is being seriously considered. So robot by itself is also a machine, but it has to be interfaced with a CNC or a lathe. So our suggestion is that before you explore automation, you also keep in or think about how the interfacing between the machine has to happen and loading mechanism. So what's the point of having a robot in the first place? Because you are trying to reduce the operational cost. Also, at the same time, trying to get more out of the machine that you're operating. One challenge could be is if you don't feed the machine at the speed at which the output is required, there could be a challenge. So please think about the loading mechanisms when robot or automation is considered, and the part quality. When you have a challenge with the part quality, then the whole the output also suffers. So it is very important that we get the right quality of parts into the machine, and we also can to get the best ROI. What we suggest is that make sure that the layout of the machines are done in such a way that you get more out of a robot. That is obviously this is not something that we have to stress, but this is on the engineering side. If you could make use of the robot for more machines, the output is obviously nice. And standardization also has resulted in few things where there is enough consideration as to how, in case of a maintenance activity or in case of a breakdown, how soon you can get the machine up and running. All of these factors have to be considered when it comes to an automation. And the other points are as usual our production, every production organization needs. So in general, if I have to summarize that, think of robot as an automation tool, think of robot as a productivity enhancer. And if things done well, I think it can have a multiplier effect when it comes to the top line and bottom line. And so now I have to little bit show what is our technological investment driven towards. So I spoke that this year or this decade is going to more on flexibility, which means that you have to change you have to produce 3 or 4 jobs in the same machine, which means the system has to be much more flexible. Then this also puts a little bit of stress on the customers in terms of the skill sets that we need to have. We all know robots as a complex machine to some of us, which means I have heard many customers saying that we always find the programming of robots very difficult. It's a technology that we are not competent. So that has always been one of the reasons why customers don't want to invest in robots. So then it gives us a business case in our organization. How can we make it even easy? So what we have developed is not just our focus in ABB is always to make this whole robots world as much as possible very user friendly. So you would see our philosophy is driven a little bit towards in that direction. So what we have been trying to do, especially for the machine tool spaces, now that we know that different jobs, not one component will be made in one machine. There is always a possibility of different jobs being done in the same machine. Then how do we enable our customers to kind of we have programmed the robot for one component. How quickly the customer can program it for the other component? That is where the complexity a little bit comes. So we thought, let's work towards that and try to make it as easy as possible for the operator. So I will just play a 2-minute video, which I think by nature should help you understand. But otherwise, I'll also explain what we have been doing. So this is an application where the operator can program a new workpiece in a matter of time. It's more of a system which is drag and drop. You have to set the values in the software when you teach a new component which a robot has to pick and place, for example. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a video. If I can briefly summarize, it helps the operators to, now there is a lot of vision, which is basically the cameras. I think some of my panelists also will speak about. With the developments in vision technology, we believe that the integration of the cameras with the robots enables a very easy user application where the operators have to just tell the robot or through this application, okay, where to pick, which gripper to use, at what angles you need to pick, and then the whole selection continues, translates into a robot program for a certain component that you have already specified. Yeah, so this gives a lot of flexibility in programming a robot for a new product which you would like to put into the machine. With that, I will a little bit stop and I will take some questions towards the end. So personally, I believe that there is so much of opportunity for robots to be used in the machine tool industry in India, which will make us a very good manufacturing destination for some of the foreign investments that are coming into India. Yeah. So with that, thank you for this opportunity, and I will be happy to answer some of the questions towards the end. Thank you, Raj.